It is Christmas Eve. The melody of a Christmas carol fills the still night in a village in Europe. It is Christmas Eve. The same song comes from a church in a small town in America. For nearly 150 years, in many parts of the world, people have been singing this carol. It is the song we call Silent Night. Who wrote this beloved song? Where did it come from? For the answer, we must go to Europe. It was here in Austria, in the little village of Oberndorf, that the song was written. If we should go there today, we'd find the town of Oberndorf in the province of Salzburg. Here we can trace the history of the song. Not far from the church of St. Nicola, in the village, is a chapel built by the people of Oberndorf. Inside the chapel, the story of Silent Night is told in two portraits of stained glass. One is of Father Moore, the village priest who wrote the words of the song. His friend was Franz Gruber, the teacher and choir master who composed the music of Silent Night. For the story of the two men and the song they wrote, we must go back a long time. We must go back a century and a half. It is the year 1818, in the holiday season, the Christmas season. In the village, it is the time of age-old Christmas customs. Groups of girls are visiting each house, carrying with them a painting of Mary and Joseph. Boys representing the shepherds of Bethlehem come to the houses caroling. They are collecting gifts of food for the poor. The story they tell in song is one that never loses interest, for it is the story of the first Christmas. And the same story will be told again in the Christmas Eve service in the church. But on this afternoon, the door of the church stands open, and all is still. Inside, the choir master, Franz Gruber, has discovered that the organ is broken. He will not be able to play, and Father Moore will have no music for his Christmas Eve service. And what would Christmas Eve be without music in the church? The problem was one for Father Moore, but he was not here. He had gone away to visit a family in a mountain cabin. As he walked along, his thoughts were on the preparations for the coming of Christmas. His path took him ever upward, along the snowy slopes. Above him was the forest, dark against the gleaming snow. From below came the faint and musical sounds of a mountain stream. And all about him was the quiet beauty of God's world. It was evening when he reached the house. At the door, he received a warm and friendly welcome. And there before him lay a baby with his mother. Perhaps as he watched, Father Moore may have thought of another child, the Christ child, lying in the manger. It was night when Father Moore started back to the village. In the moonlight, the mountain slope lay still and calm. It was a beautiful night, a holy night. Father Moore thought of many things: the child he had seen, the beauty of the night, the Christmas soon to come. And so it was, as some say, that on his return to the village, Father Moore wrote a poem. The words seemed to come quickly and easily. Stille Nacht, heilige Nacht, silent night, holy night. Even as he wrote, the priest wondered whether the poem could be set to music. Father Moore decided to take it to Franz Gruber. The two friends, priest and schoolteacher, talked it over together. The schoolteacher began to read. Silent night, holy night. Why, this was a poem that was meant for Christmas. Father Moore wondered, could the words be set to music? Of course, Franz Gruber would compose a melody. Perhaps they would have some music for their Christmas Eve service after all. The words themselves seemed to suggest the melody, a simple melody, one that Franz Gruber first played on his guitar. And so it was that the song two men had written was presented for the first time in 1818 at the Christmas Eve service in the village church. Christmas was over, and in the days that followed, no one outside the village knew about the song. With the first hint of spring, an organ mender from a village in the Tyrol came to Oberndorf. The children knew that at last someone had come to fix the broken organ in their church. And indeed, it was not very long before the old craftsman had put the instrument into working order. Now, he said to the choir master, you try it. And so Franz Gruber sat down and began to play the Christmas song he had written some weeks before. The organ mender listened and remembered. All the way back to his own village, the organ mender thought of the lovely words and simple melody. And when at last he reached the hill overlooking his own village, and some children came to meet him, he taught them the song he had learned. Down the hill ran the children, and with them went the song, Silent Night. For some years, the song was known only in such villages, tucked away in the snug valleys of the Alps. But finally, it found its way to St. Peter's Abbey in Salzburg. And from the city of Salzburg in Austria, the song was eventually carried to other places in Europe. To Paris, to London, and then to places in America, to the cities, and to the small towns. Today, Silent Night is a song that belongs to everyone.
It was just before Christmas in 1818. There was a small church in Austria. The organist, Franz Gruber, and the father, Joseph Mohr, were talking about their problem.
The organ stopped working. We need it tomorrow. What shall we do? No organ, no music.
Well, I have an idea. I finished writing this Christmas poem a few days ago. Can you write music for it?
Write music. Let me see it. Silent night, holy night. All is calm, all is bright. It's beautiful. Really, it's wonderful.
Do you think so? Can you write the music?
Maybe. I'll try. But we don't have an organ.
We can sing it with a guitar.
A guitar in church? Can we do that?
Yes.
I'll try.
Thank you, Franz.
But he went home to write the music. It was a dark and quiet night. Franz looked at the sky through the window. There were a lot of bright stars. "
Silent night, holy night. Yes.
He began to write. The next evening in church, Joseph said,
We have a new song, but our organ doesn't work.
Oh no.
So, we'll sing it with the guitar. Church? Okay, Franz.
The people looked surprised. But the music was nice and simple. So they began to sing. Now, singing Silent Night at Christmas is popular all over the world.
Every Christmas, some small child in a church, a school play, or just surrounded by friends and family at home will pick up a musical instrument just like this violin and proudly play the most beloved Christmas carol of all time. It may be a little out of tune, or perhaps not quite concert hall quality, but the love that pours out of that little instrument is what makes Silent Night so special year after year. Now translated into more than 124 languages, it's a simple carol, but one that has brought families back together, given hope to the hopeless, and even stopped the roar of the battlefield. A carol that in more than a few small ways may have changed the course of history. But every Christmas, it's still played by that small child around a tree full of gifts. Vienna Boys Choir may be the best known and certainly one of the finest singers of this legendary Christmas carol. And in fact, it is their home in Austria where the story of Silent Night began. Perhaps it was the Austrian hills, in many ways like the hills of Bethlehem, that inspired the creation of the carol. Or perhaps it was the crystal clear moonlit Austrian nights, similar to that crystal clear night when the angels split the sky singing their chorus of praise about the birth of the Savior of the world. We may never know the exact circumstances, emotions, or moment when Silent Night was born, but we can discover the place, the story, and the tradition it inspires. And perhaps that inspiration can lead to understanding about the creation of a song, and understanding about Christmas and what it means to the world. After all, Austria is music.
Wo die Adler hoch im Horste, wo die Gänse im schnellen Lauf, wo der Jäger pursch im Forste, wo im Tal der Wildbach rauscht.
From one-man bands to string quartets to orchestras that fill concert halls with the music of the ages, Austria has a tradition of music perhaps like no other country on earth.
Winterlied, schau geschneit, ist mit mir tanzen heit, zur Tag uns bis den Tag, bis der Kirchraut.
Even its best-known candies are named after Mozart, and its waltzes have thrilled the world. Outside of home, there's probably no place on earth where one would choose to spend Christmas other than Austria. Here, a white Christmas is the rule, and the thick layer of snow that covers the country is just the beginning. On the banks of the Breisach River stands Salzburg. It's a splendid old city, once the seat of prince archbishops who were among the most powerful churchmen north of the Alps. Salzburg's streets hold many shrines, a composer of myriad masterpieces. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was born in this house at Giedredegasse number 9. A year after Mozart's death in 1791, another child is born nearby at number 9 Steingasse. But unlike Mozart, this child is destined to bring about just one musical work, one simple Christmas carol. Anna Skoibering is an unwed mother and barely ekes out a meager livelihood as a knitter. Amid the riches and splendor of Salzburg, hers is a drab life. So much so that when she is wooed by a handsome fusilier in the command of Upper Salzburg, she grasps at a moment of happiness and becomes pregnant out of wedlock. But when her handsome fusilier learns that Anna is carrying his child, he offers her nothing. No wedding ring, no financial help, nothing.
I want my child, my son, to bear the name of his father, even though he rejects him. Joseph Moore. But I must find a godparent for him. But who will stand up for a baby
You all know what time it is. It's the holiday season. So I've decided to wear my Christmas sweater and the big reveal on a painting. This painting is called Silent Night. If you guys have any requests that you want me to paint, let me know down below in the comments. Don't be shy. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for a new vlog. Happy holidays.